Good morning everyone, welcome back to Carbonwurks HQ. You join us with F-Series F82 M4, a nice San Marino blue finish, looks great. It is however missing one thing, which is something to bring a bit more aggression to the front of the car. So today we're going to be fitting a front spoiler to this vehicle, and we're going to make it into a how-to video for the benefit of you guys. We have customers all over the world, so I'm sure this will be helpful to some of you. Obviously we've got the benefit of a workshop and a lift, but this is something that could be done by a DIY mechanic with a little bit of perseverance and a few tools. So we're going to walk you through the process, start to finish, of getting our DTM front splitter in this instance onto the front of this car. So yeah, we'll walk you through step by step. We've got a collection of tools to show you, minimum amount of requirement. Obviously it's going to go up on the ramp for us, but if you don't have that facility, then trolley jack and axle stands would suffice, just enough to get the wheels off the ground and then get underneath the front lip of the car. This is what this car is here for. This is our latest DTM style front splitter. As you can see, looking nice and shiny in all its carbon splendour. So I'll just pop that here. This is what will be fitting to the car today. As you can see, there's a series of holes and tape that also fix this to the front of the vehicle. As with most of our front splitters, it picks up on a number of the original OEM fixings for the under trays and the front bumper, which is great. Less drilling, and also just means it centralises nicely on the car. So we'll talk you through that. Obviously there are slight variations in the different splitters that we offer, but we'll show you what we do for best fitment and best longevity of it staying on the car. So that's that side of things. In terms of the process, there's a couple of under panels at the front in the corners. You can just see here evidence of the gurney flap. On that side it's actually started to wear through where the vehicle's already lowered, but that gets in the way of this splitter as it does with some other ones. So as a general rule of thumb, we'll take those parts off, cut the front lip off, and then we're ready to fit our splitter. So that brings us to the equipment you might want or we use and what you might need in terms of fitting any of our splitters. So I've got a little impact gun here, or a ratchet would suffice. Generally speaking, the front end of these cars are fixed together with 8 or 10mm screws. So again, 8-10mm socket required. Then got an impact driver or an electric screwdriver there, a general screwdriver as well, because never trust the gun, so always nip it up with a screwdriver at the end. In terms of prepping and cleaning down the area, we've got some panel wipe here to help for adhesion of the sticky tape, a bit of waterless wash, and lastly the heat gun, which will allow you just to add a bit more tack to the tape. Again, just best practice, giving it best possible chance of staying glued onto the body. Lastly, we've also got an air saw. Any sort of saw will be good enough to cut through the plastics on the tray, which we'll show you in a second. But this is fortunately what I've got available to me, airline air saw, which I'll chop that off, but you could do it even with a hand. Junior hacksaw would be plenty enough. And obviously the all important PPE, some goggles for whilst shards of plastic are flying around. But yeah, that's about it. So hopefully I've covered everything for you there, and we'll get straight into it. Okay, so with the car up in the air, wheels free, the first step is to remove the corner trays from underneath, ready for trimmage. So you don't need to take the wheels off, you can if you want better access, but purely by turning them to lock, as I have done here, you can gain access. So this car has 10mm fixings as factory. You'll find one right here at the end. So there's actually 3 across the bottom of the arch guard which connect to the corner trim. So I'm just going to undo that one now. And then with the wheel on lock the other way, you're able to access the others, which I've already removed. After that, you then need to go underneath the vehicle. Again, a series of bolts, of which some of which I've removed, but they all come off from around the outside of the panel. And then with them removed, you just need to slide it towards the inside of the vehicle to release this tab from behind the arch guard. So yeah, that's it. What we're looking to remove from this panel is just the front edge here. So this moulding here, I actually use that as a guide for where I'm going to cut. So I generally cut along the front edge of this, and yeah, chop that off, and that will give all the clearance we need for the splitter to go on. So we'll show you that next. So just walk you through the surgery on this front corner trim. So what we're looking to do is just take off this flap here, which is what interferes with our new splitter. So as previously stated, I use this moulding here as a guide to where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut along here, all the way down, all the way across the part, and then that will completely remove the front lip whilst retaining the original fixing points to bolt it back to the bumper. So I'm going to cut through this now with my air saw. Tim will obviously get a little bit of footage, but you get the idea. I'm going to cut through it with a saw, and the front bit's going to go missing, when we'll show you a before and after compared to the other side when I'm done. Okay, so I've trimmed the edge off now. One little tool or part of the equipment that I forgot to mention was either a file or some sort of coarse sandpaper. So once you've cut the edge of this off, you can just dress the edge down, get rid of the rough bits of plastic from where it's been cut, and then it's not going to cause you any issues in the future should you be under there yourself or anyone else fortunate enough to work on your lovely BMW. So I'll just clean this off now. We'll give you a before and after shot versus the other side. I'll get the other side done, and then we're ready to bolt the splitter itself onto the car. Okay, so Tim will have undoubtedly put a still image in, but this is just the before and after. So the one in my right hand here, that's been trimmed and dressed off, so that's missing its flap completely. As I was saying earlier on in the video, certainly with lowered cars as well, you tend to find that these start suffering a bit of damage. So whilst the majority of our splitters do need this to be removed, some of them don't. However, you might find that aesthetically you might prefer to get rid of this just because it's suffered some damage, and realistically once your splitter's on you're not going to see it, so it's not going to serve a great deal of purpose anyway. So I'm just going to trim this second one off, ready to go on the back on the car, and then the next bit you'll see is probably me offering up the splitter, getting ready to fit it all on. All trimmed up, these parts are now ready to go back on the car. So the main thing of note when refitting these is to make sure that this tab on the end here goes up above the bumper but behind the arch liner. It's quite straightforward, but it just means you won't have to take it back out and do it again when you realise it's not all lined up. So again, if you're feeding it from inside to the outside of the vehicle, over the top of the bumper, behind the arch guard, and it's just as straightforward as that. Slide it up in there and that's ready to bolt on. With this particular splitter, it does marry up to some of the factory fitting points, so what I'm going to do is bolt it in at the back but leave the front undone, ready for the splitter to go on top. So again, as before, just putting the wheel on lock to gain access. No need to remove the wheel in its entirety if you don't want to. And that's that row of 3 at the back done. So that's on there for now. I'll just get the other side done and then we'll be ready to offer up the new splitter. Enter into the final stages of getting this part fitted now. With those under trays trimmed, we can now offer the part up. All of our parts should be a straight fit once those little modifications are done. So offering the part up gives you an idea of the areas on the bumper that you want to prep in terms of getting it fixed on. As we highlighted in the tools required segment, we do our best to prep the paint area for the best adhesion of the tape which we've got on our splitter here. So most of our products will come with a combination of tape and screws to fix it to the car. The tape will help hold the part in place whilst you then secure all the screws subsequently. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go over the lower part of the front bumper with our waterless wash and then subsequently the panel wipe. Panel wipe or something similar like brake cleaner is going to get rid of as much contaminants, any sort of residue that will stop the tape from sticking its best off the paintwork on the car, and that's our best advice really. That's what we do with all of our parts before they go on all around the car. So I'll get cracking with that now. Tim will probably get a few shots of me doing that to give you an idea of what goes on, and once that's done I'll be ready to peel back the tape, offer up the part and get it all bolted into place.
Go for it.
so as you'll have seen from the footage, I've been busy with the waterless wash and panel prep, so I'm happy now the bumper's ready to receive the splitter. Obviously offered it up beforehand, so I'm happy it's all going to line up and fit. Last thing to do now is to remove the backing from all the tape. We'll get busy with the heat gun just to get a bit of temperature into the tape and the panel to help the adhesion. What I will say is if you don't have access to a heat gun, but you are fortunate enough to be doing this in a sunny situation, then just put the part outside in the direct sunlight. It will soon attract a bit of temperature on account of it being a nice dark black, and that will bring some temp into the tape for you anyway. So just a bit of help if I turn it on, just a bit of gentle heat from the heat gun across all the tape. You'll see the sheen of the tape start to change colour. It'll become a bit more bubbly and satin finish when it's ready to go. So just work your way across all the tape on the panel. All that means is it's just got a nice bit of bite, immediate bite, as soon as you offer it up to the panel, which will help it stay in place. Fortunately it's not too cold today, so this hasn't taken long. I'm pretty much there, ready to go. This next step should be fine to do by myself, but if you do have the option of a glamorous assistant, then it will certainly make life a lot easier. So with this particular panel, it goes between the lower trim piece that we've already trimmed and the bumper itself. So it's sandwiched between the two parts on the car. So I'll do one side and the other, push it back into position, and that's now ready for us to screw up and do the final fit. So with that in place, as previously stated, this particular splitter is held on by the factory fixings. So I'm just going to go underneath, line up the holes, and that's that screwed into place. Okay, and that's a wrap. So as you can tell, the splitter is now fully fitted. All the factory screw locations have been used and retained. Done them all up. Again, check at the end with a hand tool, so just a small ratchet with the 10mm there to check them all over. And as you can see, looks fantastic. I think that's all there is to say really. A thanks to Nick for bringing his car in. Thank you to you guys for watching if you've made it this far. As always, like, share and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And stay tuned for the next how-to video on one of our products. Have a nice day.